all the young people I saw here today look like my son. And because the time is so short, and what would I say to my son with that question that you asked, to get through this system of life, and it is life now, it concerns me, and Officer Davis is completely right. You do have to cooperate. And yet at the same time, because you're my babies, I have to admit that there are times when even when you're doing everything right, things go wrong, just by your being there. But let's say that things are not going wrong, and let's hope that that's how it happens. I would tell you this, my son had an encounter when he was at Howard, and the officer on that occasion with him, thank God I did not know at the time, was a black officer. But he had him up against the wall at night in a very unfriendly way. I had things I had told my son to do. He had to do that particular night. And so I say to these young people, both male and female, I used to tell my son when he was traveling, riding in a car, that if you get stopped, here's what I want you to do. If you're driving, I want both hands up on the wheel. I don't want you making any quick movements. If they ask for your anything about your that is in the glove compartment, I want you to say to them, that is in the glove compartment, I need to open it to get it. And let the officer see you move. And let me tell you why. I don't know if he would say this. I've had officers that tell me they are very nervous themselves when they stop somebody. And so it doesn't take much for that to escalate. So you want the officer to even calm down some from making the stop. And so you tell him, I'm going to open this glove compartment, and what is it? Registration is right there. Now I had a friend of mine who recently say to me, who has a son that he's trying to get through this life, that he wouldn't even open the glove compartment. He would tell the officer, you open it. Because I don't want you to think that I'm going to reach for anything there. So let's say you get through that with his hands here and not doing anything until the officer tells him to do it. And that was very important for me with my son, because my son is he was very big, played football at Dudley, and at the time they were going for the big guys. And he's very dark in color. Those two things I knew over the years, and I'm speaking from experience here, that's why I say I'm mixing it with both professional and personal things to get a boy through this life. Once the officer sees the registration, has opened, you've opened the glove compartment, only then do you reach there. And they've had a chance to kind of look into it themselves. Only get out of the car if they tell you to, especially with his size. If you're riding in the front seat as the passenger, I want your right hand up on the dash, and I want your left hand across the back of the seat. And I used to tell, my kitchen used to be full of young black men because of my son, and I would tell them all this. And if you're in the back seat behind the front passenger, I want your right hand up on the back of the front seat, and your left hand across the back of the seat, and the reverse for the other person, from just a practical standpoint. There were times when they all had to do just that. He's not quite grown, and so all these kinds of things helped him in the system, because he was driving before he left here, and of course when he got to Washington, D.C. And so I say to any parent or any child, the thing about being in the community is that you have to survive. And you try to survive not doing anything wrong. And I say that because, in the office, I think, I'm not saying anything out of school here. We've seen where kids or young people have gotten shot by officers when they were not doing anything wrong. And so that is why it's now become more complex to help get our young people through to adulthood and even throughout adulthood, I used to not be so concerned about females until the thing happened with the young lady, I can't remember where she was stopped and eventually died in the jail.
Sandra Bland.
Okay, thank you. The older black lady who was stopped and was harassed as if she was a young black, they had been doing the young black males. So the thing is, as I say, it's gotten complex because you don't have to be doing wrong. And I know what they say. I'm gonna stop answering so that maybe the judge might have some input here. But my role, as I see it, when we talk to a room like this, not only this, I would say the same thing if I'm talking to a mixed group or an all-white group, what I've just said to you. I would say it if I was standing up in court. These are the things. And you asked about coming to court. I'm going to say this because the judge might not be comfortable saying it. Things have changed a whole lot, but some basic things have not. You only have, they used to tell us in school, you have one chance to make a first impression. That is still true. Judges are human just as we are. Some of them have their own prejudices and whatever, pet peeves or whatever you want to call them. Now, I would tell you, I had a young man in court just last year on a speeding ticket. And I got one of the best deals I've gotten in court for a long time. And you know why? Because he was dressed so appropriately. And the assistant DA looked at him and said, "Oh, you're a very mannerly young man." He was a young man, black male. But he was dressed, and I don't mean that he was flashily dressed. He was not. He was just so appropriately dressed in the sense of what he was wearing. That is still important. That is still important. You don't get a chance to explain yourself because you could be a fantastic human being, and I'm sure people are. But you don't get to say all that when someone is making a first impression about you. And unfortunately, and it's still true, how we look, and I don't mean in the sense that you have to change. You can't change the important parts about you, and you shouldn't. But can I tell you, and should I tell you that it matters? I'll give an example and I'm going to stop. If you want to be a banker, you're going to wear a dark suit and wingtip shoes or something like that. Now, you can say, but this is what I want to express myself. You can express yourself, you just won't do it as a banker. And that's reality in life. And that's what we have to tell our young people. That's the thing about coming to court, the first thing. And I would tell you something. I've heard quite a few of the black lawyers tell young black people what I'm saying to you. I've not heard that. Oh, yes, I have.